The basic CAPM formula that's used to predict an investor's required rate of return for security A is the return on A is equal to the risk-free rate plus the return on the market minus the risk-free rate times the beta of security A. Notice that we can also write this as the risk-free rate plus the risk premium on the market times the beta of security A. So the risk premium of the market is the same thing as the overall return on the market minus that risk-free rate. So if we know the required rate of return for a stock, the risk-free rate, and its beta, we can actually find the risk premium on the market just by rearranging this equation. Let's look at an example. Suppose security A has a required return of 11% and a beta of 1.11. If security B has a beta of 0.97 and the risk-free rate is 3.5%, what is security B's required rate of return? First, let's use A's information to find the market risk premium. Using the CAPM formula, we're told that security A has a required rate of return of 11%, the risk-free rate is 3.5%, and we don't know the risk premium on the market yet, but we do know that security A has a beta of 1.11. We can just back out the risk premium on the market and we find that it's 0.0676, 6.76%. Now we can use CAPM to find B's required rate. The required rate for B is the risk-free rate plus the market risk premium and times the beta of security B. We found all this information, so we just plug it in and we find that the required rate of return on security B is 10%. We can also use CAPM on a portfolio of securities. The beta of a portfolio is simply the weighted sum of the betas of the securities that make it up. Let's look at an example. Suppose a portfolio is made up of 35% of stock A and 65% of stock B, and the portfolio's required rate of return is 12%. If the risk-free rate is 4%, the required rate of return on the market is 11%, and stock A has a beta of 1.15, what is the beta of stock B? First, we can find the beta of the overall portfolio. Here's the CAPM equation again. The return on the portfolio is equal to the risk-free rate plus the market risk premium times the beta of the portfolio. We plug in the given data. We know that the return on the portfolio is 12%. The risk-free rate is 4%. We're not given the risk premium of the market directly, but we're given the return on the market of 11% and the risk-free rate of 4%, so we just subtract the two to get the risk premium of the market, and we multiply that by the beta of the portfolio, which is unknown. We're solving for it. So if we rearrange this equation and solve for the beta of portfolio, we see that it's 1.143. Now we know that the beta of the portfolio is the weighted sum of the betas of the individual securities that make it up. So the beta of the portfolio is 35% of the beta of security A plus 65% of the beta of security B. That's because 35% of our portfolio is invested in security A and the other 65% is invested in security B. So we just plug in the betas that we know. We know the beta of the portfolio is 1.143. and the beta of security A is given as 1.15. So the only unknown is the beta of security B. We can solve for it, and we see that when we move everything to the one side and solve, we get a beta of 1.139. Now we could also find the weights of the stocks making up a portfolio if we had their dollar amounts. For example, suppose we had a portfolio worth $100,000 and it was all invested in stock A. Then we know the portfolio has the same beta as stock A. So here it's just telling us that we have all of our money invested in one stock. So basically we have 100% of our portfolio invested in stock A. So we know the beta of the portfolio is going to be the same. If we add an additional $50,000 to the portfolio and invest it only in stock B, the new portfolio beta would be $100,000 over the total of $150,000 is in stock A, so we multiply that ratio times the beta of stock A plus the $50,000 that's in stock B divided by the total amount of $150,000 times the beta of stock B. And this is just another way to get the weighted sum of the betas of the individual stocks. It's just, instead of saying that we have 67% invested in stock A and 33% invested in stock B, It just tells us the dollar amounts. So we have to find the percentage by dividing how much is in that certain stock over the total amount of our portfolio. So it's just another way to find the weights of our portfolio. And from this, we can find everything the same exact way we did in the last question. So we can then find the new required rate of return on the whole portfolio if we were given the risk-free rate and the market risk premium. And that's the end of part 5.